You were listening to ChartingWealth.com for Thursday, the 22nd of June, 2017. Boy, this year just keeps moving along. We see the S&P 500 barely down 0.02%. The NASDAQ 100 is represented by QQQ, up almost a full percent, 0.99%. We see that gold is up 0.29% and 20-year bonds up 0.20%. For those of you who ask for our quarterly training, those of you who signed up for it, if you did not receive a rejection, you will be getting your email tonight. It will be in this training for today's show, and it will be your link to the training. So we congratulate you, hope that you enjoy it. This again is for financial advisors and long-term investors, and it is all about how to use the quarterly chart that we have created here at chartingwealth.com. It allows you to go back and track the market. You can see how over the last 20 plus years, that quarterly chart has been prescient in showing you what was happening, when to get in and when to get out. Great training. Please, all of you who signed up and are receiving that, let us hear back from you how valuable it was, any suggestions for changes, things that were confusing. Again, we always try to please you here. Want you to like what we're doing. For those of you who are interested in receiving training like this, first and foremost, you have to be a subscriber, and that is easy to do, and it doesn't cost anything. This training that we're sending out today does not cost anything, but you must subscribe. You go to the website chartingwealth.com, put in your first name and your email address. We do not spam that list. We do not sell that list. All of our long-term folks know how precious we hold your email addresses, and we will use that to notify you when other training is coming up, such as the Bitcoin chart training that we have, and we'll show a little bit more of that at the end of today's program. Let's jump into these charts. S&P 500. Currently, we want to first start with the weekly chart. If you can read what that weekly chart is, good on you, because it is literally just sliding along, has been now for going on about 4 weeks. Crossed over going up back on the 2nd of June. And as we look at the weekly chart, we can see that it's topped out one time after another at about 144.50 or so, and is at 143.43. I think we had a getting in point when we had that crossover going up at about 144.50, something like that. So right around the same range still. It's just crazy. It looks like the market's trying its best to top out and start moving down. We don't have a trade on the S&P right now. We look at the 2-day chart. We see that, of course, it crossed over back on the 2-day chart ending on Tuesday, the 20th of June, going down. And again, it was down just barely 0.02. That is 0.2%, still above the weekly trend line. I would not be doing anything at this point except watching the S&P. If indeed we have a confirmed vertical crossover going down at the end of the week, those of you who are signed up to receive that, and again, you need to be a subscriber to the website, you go and you put in your phone the number 33222, and to that number you text the word Charting Wealth. You will then receive our notification service via your cell phone via a text that'll tell you when those vertical crossovers occur. Now let's keep moving through this chart. We see, of course, the 2-day. We'll look at the 4-hour quickly. And of course, we've now got, 3 4-hour charts moving down strongly, crossed over going down on that 4-hour chart. My word, all the way back on the 7th. But again, it's just been tick-tocking sideways. But it is decidedly trending downward, it looks like, although the lows reached over the last few days weren't as low as the lows back on the 16th. So again, sideways sliding market. Let's see what happens. I tend to think that, of course, it's probably topped out, but remember, we don't forecast, we trend follow, and we have to have a trend in order to follow it. We don't have a trend yet. We're going to wait till that's set. Let's look at what's going on QQQ. Remember that wonderful trend we had when we had the vertical crossover going up back on the week ending the 28th of April? We made some nice money, that is our virtual money, trading, moving up on that from somewhere about 136 to what, 143, almost 144. Quite beautiful. Now we see a weekly vertical crossover at the end of the past week on the Friday the 16th of June. Had a weekly vertical crossover going down after we had that 2-day vertical crossover just prior. What have we seen happen? Again, the market is trying to slide sideways. It was up a full percent for the day. We continue to see our and again, we had this happen back on the 13th through about the 28th. We saw our PPO, price percent oscillator, look like the market had topped out, then rotate over going down, and then popped back up on the week ending the 28th of April. What do we see now? Well, we had a weekly vertical crossover, like I just said, on June the 16th. We do see the PPO heading down, derivative oscillator, a lot of energy moving down, but we haven't seen that in prices yet. If we tune in a little closer, we see, of course, that we had 3 2-day charts going down, but the last 2 days, two 2-day charts, we have seen some up movement breaking through that trend line. That's not good. The 2 days still moving down, derivative oscillator still gaining, energy going down. We look at the 4-hour chart for a little bit more of what's going on. We can see that that 4-hour chart rotated over, going up. We had that pullback, and of course that occurred, and it crossed over, going back down in the morning hours on Tuesday. I'm sorry, I switched over. I knew something wasn't right there. Meant to go to the 4-hour, went to the 4-day. That did not look right. What we saw happen is we saw the market rotate over back on the 8th. There we go. Going down on that 4-hour chart. It is now in its pullback. You remember the last time we looked at it, it looked like it might bounce off and head down. It did not. It actually headed up. So what are we waiting for? We're now in full pullback mode on the 4-hour chart. If and when it crosses back over going down, that is our trigger point for jumping into a downward cues play. Everything is set for us to do that. 2-day chart is going down. Weekly chart is going down. If this up move on the 4-hour chart is not strong enough to rotate the 2 larger charts over, and remember, all the rotations always start first on the small chart. But all things being equal, the markets always tend to move in the direction of the biggest chart, right? It's the biggest wave. So we shall see if this 4-hour action is going to rotate back over going down. Okay, so we're going to watch that. You see that 4-hour chart rotate over going down. Check it at noon, and then check it again at the end of the day. If that does happen, pull the trigger, jump into a downward virtual trade. Okay, let's keep moving along. What's going on that weekly chart? Of course, we had it rotate over all the way back on the 3rd of February on TLT. Slid up a little bit, then down, then up again, down, and this latest up movement started with that 2-day vertical crossover going up on Friday the 19th of May, and we have had weeks of nice, strong up movement since then. And of course, what are we looking for? Well, when that 2-day chart rotated over, we looked for our entry point on that 4-hour chart, and we just continue to see things build nicely. We're still well above our 2-day trend line, well above the weekly trend line. Bonds are looking great. Now, typically, bonds move inverse to the stock market. You would think with all this great bond up movement, the markets would be surging down. They are not. They are trying to hold at equilibrium. Why are they holding at that? I don't know. I don't know why they're being kept up. I don't know who is keeping them up. But I do know that they are up. And frankly, as someone who follows the charts, it doesn't matter to me. I'm waiting for the triggers to be pulled to show me how to follow and when to follow that trend. So we'll just keep waiting. And in the meantime, we'll make nice virtual dollars as TLT goes up 0.20% for this day alone. What about gold? Gold on the weekly chart, of course, crossed, is in the process of crossing over, it appears, going down. Now, it hasn't done that yet. We shall wait and see if that occurs. If it does, of course, we'll let everybody that's subscribed to that text service be made aware of that. We had the 2-day vertical crossover occur about a week ago, and we will continue to watch and see if gold is going to cross over. The derivative oscillator is already in the negative, and of course it looks like when this candle ends, and remember, we can't call a crossing over until actually the candle ends, and that doesn't happen until Friday. So we'll continue to watch that. We zoom into gold on the 2-day chart. Has been going down for many 2-day candles. Well, there's about 6 of them. Of course, it crossed over going down back on the 16th of June, last Friday. That's on the 2-day chart. And the 4-hour chart, remember how beautiful this 4-hour chart is, that it seems to work time and time and time again. When the 4-hour chart switches over, tends to pull everything else with it. And of course, you can trade. We have discovered over and over and over again that that 4-hour chart is a total trading chart. It does appear on the 4-hour chart that it could be bottoming out. Now, it appeared that way also back on around the 13th of June, popped up a little bit there on the 14th of June and then rotated back over going down, never crossed over, hasn't crossed over yet. Just keep an eye. We have seen for the last 2 days sort of a bottoming there right around 118.25 or so. So watch it, watch the 4-hour chart, see what's going on. Folks, that's where we are as we end the day. On Wednesday, go into Thursday, the 22nd of June. We so appreciate you being with us. Those of you who did sign up for or approved for the quarterly chart training on the S&P 500, you will receive in your email with the daily market review today, you will receive the link to that video. Do give us some good feedback. God bless. Thank you all for being with us. Let us hear from you at chartingwealth.com.